Well, hard eugenics is injecting Guatemalan children with syphilis. I mean, there's a bunch of murdering.
No, I understand that, but you see, we live in this technological age where the same things, the horrors that we saw 50 years ago, are being replayed, but using this sophisticated technology, which brings me to, I want to talk a little bit about this TSA thing, if you want to.
Yeah, let's get into it, because do you agree with me that this is broken out, huge national, international story, and it's showing the giant resentment and rage and anger that was right under the surface. It's now pouring forth.
Well, yeah, the point that I wanted to make, and my take on this, I'm curious what you think. You know, the name of the show, Alex Jones, that you do is Info Wars. And a few months ago, from the best of my knowledge anyway, you started this idea of let's get these search terms up #1 on the news search on Google. And my thought is, at the top of the show, when you're talking about how Drudge Report is talking about this and how Beck is talking about this, it's because those guys are only interested in traffic, whereas you are interested in truth. So the equation is truth versus traffic. So here on your show, to get out the truth, you put out a search term on Google. But those guys, they see the traffic potential of tapping into #1 Google search item, and that's what's driving them. It's not that Drudge or Beck are suddenly converts to any new paradigm. It's that they see the traffic that you're generating. So you don't even probably understand that by you forcing these terms #1 on Google search, you have become now the de facto agenda for these news desks. You're driving Drudge. You're driving Beck. Your listeners are doing that.
Well, I know we're, hold on. I know we're driving, hold on. I know we're driving Beck, because I have that confirmed from inside, but Drudge is always hated. Even before he went off the radio, he hates the TSA. I mean, Matt Drudge is more alternative media than a Glenn Beck.
Sure, but he's also a guy who is very sensitive to traffic and traffic patterns. And, you know, on the Internet, it's all about traffic patterns. You know, this company that's out there, it's called Drive, I think it's called Drive Media, where they own millions and millions of URLs, and depending on the search for those URLs, they pay people $20 or $50 to write a story that they circulate on their web traffic because they know people are searching for it, and then they write about what people are searching about. It's very incestuous, the Internet business has become.
It's a feedback loop.
Exactly. So, and Drudge is a guy who watches that very carefully because he's got, you know, the #1 most accessed site in the world. Is it because he's the smartest guy in the world in terms of laying out a web page in terms of what's interesting for people? It's because he's technologically savvy. He came out of the tech boom of the 90s, and this is what he's all about. So my point is that it's truth versus traffic, and if you keep on harping on the truth, you're going to shape the traffic. You're going to bend the traffic toward the truth, and that's an amazing development in the info wars.
Well, it is, and no army can stop an idea whose time has come. Expanding on that, though, what's your view of the naked body scanners? And because I can't really, we're going to come back from break and get your take on this, but I want to read part of Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones's article up on prisonplanet.com. It's the top link on Drudge Report right now. Drudge stirs a national debate on TSA abuse, because it really was Drudge picking up our stories the last 7 days that broke this out nationwide. It's a symbiotic thing. It's Alex Jones, my listeners, and then Drudge, and then that underlying anger. National Body Scanner Opt-Out Day organized as resistance grows. But Watson's got a quote in here, because I wrote part of the story. He wrote this part. With the Electronic Privacy Information Center already engaged in a lawsuit challenging the legality of naked body scanners, the ACLU has also opened a webpage inviting members of the public to submit reports of TSA abuse in the interest of future action. And see, it's like I told my wife last night, the truth is never out of fashion. It's not trendy. It's not a fad. Truth is not a fad. But it goes on here to quote, and I'm now trying to find it here in the article. The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg was told by a TSA agent directly that pat-downs were made increasingly invasive, not for any genuine security reason, but to make the experience so uncomfortable for the traveler that they would prefer to use the body scanner, despite the fact that scientists at Columbia University and the Interagency Committee on Radiation Safety, along with other scientific bodies, have all warned the devices increase the risk of developing cancer. Now, I can't read this on air because of the profanity, but it says, I asked him if he was looking forward to conducting the full pat-downs. Nobody's going to do it, he said, once they find out what we're going to do. In other words, people, when faced with a choice, will inevitably choose the male member measuring device. They use another word, a street term, the male member measuring device over molestation. He went on to tell him that that's what they call it system-wide, is the male member measuring device, and it's all a big joke. We'll be right back.
Most Americans believe famine and hunger will never happen. But what if? Day 1, mayhem breaks out at grocery stores. Day 3, families are on edge. Day 5, the neighbors come knocking. Day 10, small bands of thieves begin stealing at gunpoint. Day 15, desperation, but the government can't help because there's no food left. Introducing the grab-and-go emergency food supply from Solutions from Science. 84 delicious, nutritious food servings, including breakfast, lunch, and dinner entrees. Enough to feed 4 adults for a week. Every meal 100% vegetarian for longer shelf life. Claim your grab-and-go emergency food supply today at foodshortagesolutions.com. That's foodshortagesolutions.com. Or call 877-327-0365. 877-327-0365. Grab-and-go emergency food supply. Better a year too soon than one day too late.
Gold isn't for you? Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources, one of the world's premier gold and precious metal investing firms. I get it. You wouldn't buy gold if you believed that the government is doing a great job, that the Fed will stop handing out trillions of dollars like bailout candy, that Social Security would be there for you. That's not what's happening. You might even pass on gold if the stimulus package wouldn't fuel inflation, or that the dollar wouldn't lose value, or that your retirement would be secure. If all looks rosy to you, then now is not the time to buy gold. For the realist, there have never been more sobering reasons to diversify with gold. Since 2001, the U.S. dollar index has tanked 30% while gold has risen 300%. Right now, savvy investors are adding gold to their portfolios. You should too. Find out what they know. Call us and I'll send you 10 reasons why gold will do very well, free. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on Earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cameras, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Rock Creek gently flows through the parkland of Washington, D.C. until it meets the mighty Potomac River in the heart of the federal city. On the other hand, Rock Creek Free Press is a fiercely independent newspaper that's not afraid to print the truth. We print the stories that others won't touch. The 9/11 cover-up, media propaganda, government corruption, state terrorism, and violations of our constitutional rights. The Creek is a completely reader-supported publication. We accept no corporate advertising, no corporate influence. For a free, no-obligation issue of The Creek, just go to rockcreekfreepress.com. If you want copies for your local 9/11 Truth Group, send your request to editor@rockcreekfreepress.com. Rock Creek Free Press, not afraid to print the truth.
Call them at 301-452-0090 today.
You look like an angel, walk like an angel, talk like an angel, but I got wise.
You're the devil.
You're the devil in disguise.
You know, folks, I'm just an average guy who knew how to read Trilateral Commission and CFR public documents. And I came out and warned people like so many others did. And I made films, I did a radio show, I invested any of our profits back in the operation to reach more people because I want to live free. I'm in a fight with these globalists. I don't like them. It's personal. And Max Keiser's out there fighting them, and so many others are out there fighting them, and Ron Paul and Gerald Celente and countless others. But this is so real. And the fact that we're engaging the New World Order, that we're having an effect. Look, if I can do this in 15 years, what can you do now that people are ready to wake up? Everybody needs to be heard, whether it's driving down the price of Coke so we can take their scalp, as Max has said, and scare the others, or whether it's the silver and gold vigilantes buying it and holding it, exposing the fact that the globalists have been manipulating the market and aren't taking physical possession, and they're just using, made-up silver and gold stores to do this. We have power is the final message, and we are the majority if we take action. But Max is right. We're now at the point of world government openly taking over. Now, we'll fight it once it takes over completely, because then it'll be even more evident. That's why they have this police state straitjacket in place to keep us in line. But that's not going to work either because it's illegitimate. Max, all over the world, people are revolting. The government's sending in provocateurs in England. That's even mainstream news, to demonize the protest. The British Prime Minister wants to start restricting protesting. That's not going to work. We're making the tyrants act like tyrants. Where do you see this going?
Global insurrection against corporate and banking occupation. I talked about it on your show 2 years ago. Everywhere, all over the world, people are suffering the same problems, that they're being occupied by their bankers who are destroying their economies. And I think now people are getting some focus. They understand that all of the regional skirmishes and all of the local problems that they were angry about, they're directing them now toward the confrontation with these bankers in what I call the battle between savers versus speculators. The savers, the people who want to work, make a good living, and save money, are being victimized by the speculators who want interest rates to be near 0% so they can borrow money for virtually free, speculate, make wild bets, and every time they make a losing bet, they get the government to bail them out, and then the government turns around and imposes austerity on everyone else to pay off the bad bets. That equation is now destroying lives all over the world. People are rioting in Ireland. People are rioting in England. People are rioting in France. People are rioting in Greece. And, of course, Iceland was the first country to get destroyed by this. And the US,
but they're drunk on fluoride here, so they're just sucking their thumbs.
Well, the U.S. is a little behind because the U.S. still enjoys the benefits of the U.S. dollar for the moment being the world reserve currency. That means that people in America, their experience with the economy, which comes primarily through pumping gas into their gas tank and buying food at the store, they don't see prices yet jumping the way that they will jump when this dollar is finally destroyed. And then when prices are up 200-300% in a couple of months, then Americans will join the fight. But right now, they're being lulled into this false complacency by these artificially cheap prices that come to them by others around the world having to suffer the consequences of currency fluctuations in America's foreign policy. But now the era is coming to an end, as Zolik has said openly in the Wall Street Journal. The era of the U.S. dollar reserve currency era is now over. Americans are going to now experience what these other countries are experiencing, and they will join the fight as well. So it's all economics in the end, and when prices move to points that get people angry, then they, in fact, will join the fight as well.
And we're here. People are getting a reality check. They are starting to pay attention to real issues. Everything we talked about is now unfolding, and it's us or them. And we need to talk about prosecution of these bankers. If Greenspan admits there's all this fraud, but then tells us they're above the law, no, they're not above the law. And as Thomas Jefferson said, the level of tyranny we will live under is the level we put up with. There's no end. Either we start saying no, or it only gets worse. And all these petty people, yuppies and bureaucrats and stockbrokers and cops, And I'm not saying all stockbrokers are bad or all cops are bad. I'm saying people that think they're part of the system. You know them, Max, who are on power trips because they feel like their establishment, they're going to be hurt as well. So they better make the decision to join with their fellow